Hi guys, Jordan from P&B Campers. Just going to do a handover video on this Bentley motorhome. It's an Indigo. It's based on a Renault Traffic cab. So under the bonnet you've got your washer fluid over here on the left hand side, power steering fluid just down here at the front, engine oil and the dipstick is inside this one bottom cap there, and you've also got another one just here, another filler point if you want to fill it up a bit easier. From there, that should go straight down into the engine just like the other one does, but a bit easier to get to. You've got your brake fluid just up here and your engine coolant just there, air filter and all that sort of stuff sits just underneath here. Sensors and bits and pieces are just there, airflow and all that kind of thing. Obviously you've got it's the aircon model, so you've got the cooler for the aircon there at the front, all sorts of bits and pieces. A really nice high spec cab. So if we carry on to the near side, this little part opens up just here to allow you to get into your diesel filling point. Close that back over. On the passenger side there's not really much to show you. Obviously it's a really nice quality vehicle, and that's why you get all of these sort of nice bits of trim all over the place. I'll show you all the other bits and pieces in a minute on the other side. Got a locker just here, which is pretty much just for storage, but you've also got your water pump over here on the right. So if you ever, when you switch that on, that's where you'll hear it coming out from. It's all up to pressure at the moment, and the pump switch is still on, so there's no leaks or anything like that. But I'll show you that in more detail when we get inside. You've got a little catch just up here which holds the door in place when you open it all the way. Your door step is this one just here. So it's quite slow, but that's just the way that these ones are. It's not slow for the model it is. Got a external gas point just up here, bullfinch. And your actual gas locker here, you've got space for 2 of these 6 kilo bottles if you wanted it. Your pigtail itself looks pretty new to me. I can't see the date on it. There we go. Oh, it's just hiding behind this sticker. Should be able to see it up there though. 2021. So you got a long time on that one. Turning the bottle on is anti-clockwise around to the left. Turning it off is clockwise around to the right. So I'll leave that one on for the minute because I've got a few bits and pieces on. Toilet cassette locker is this one just here. So you've got a freshwater flush, which is what this little pipe here is for. To take the actual cassette out, you just literally lift up on this little green tab at the bottom, and then the whole thing will come out towards you. You empty it out from here and hold the little green button down when you're emptying that out. Also the blue fluid is what goes inside the cassette. Your wastewater drain is this one just here. Then got your 2 fridge vents. So I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment, and I can feel warm air coming out through this top right hand side of this top vent. So that's one way of double checking that it's definitely lit up. Otherwise I'll show you how to do it when we're on the inside, but that's just a sort of a fail-safe way, making sure that you're definitely lit. Hookup point is this one just inside here. So if you're at home or at your campsite, if a hookup cable is available to you, I would really recommend it. Makes life much easier in lots of different ways. Boiler vent, again, I can feel the hot air coming out through the bottom of this vent. And so that's basically when you've got the boiler lit up on gas, you'll feel the warm air coming out from that. So I've got it lit up on the moment, so it's basically creating hot water inside of it. Freshwater inlet is this one just here. There should be a point inside the van that you can basically just push onto there and then drop it into a bucket, or you can get fittings that push into there and go directly onto hose lock points. You've also then got over here is your boiler. So the boiler itself is this whole part just here. Boiler drain is this one just here. So if I lifted that upright, all the water from inside of the boiler would just drain out straight onto the floor. And you've got your leisure battery that sits underneath here, or inside here, sorry. So this is just a standard leisure battery box. So yeah, that's where that sits. The pipes just run along here, nice and simple. So yeah, if you ever wanted to get to your leisure battery, it's just in there. Obviously easier if you open up this seat just here. But that's where that is if you ever needed to. In the actual cab itself, like I said, it's a really nice high spec cab. So obviously optional extra has already been fitted is the reversing camera, so that's already there. But bits and pieces that have been here, you know, from standard, you've got electric adjusting mirrors from here. You've got the buttons here which work, sort of correspond with your radio, so you can turn the volume up and down, answer and decline calls, all that sort of thing. Washers and wipers are on the right hand side. Lights and indicators are on the left hand stalk. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox rather than the 5. Air conditioning works from that switch just there, along with all of your sort of heater controls underneath that. You've actually got the screen actually comes on and shows you what's happening rather than just being the singled in standard smaller version of that. So obviously you'll see that if you come to using it. A couple of bits and pieces up here, so you've got an aux point there, all kinds of things. Little sensor just here for your tyre pressures and things like that, so it's a tyre pal. Works off a little solar power bit on the top of that. But yeah, so handbrakes just down here on the left hand side. Sometimes they're over on the right in the motorhomes, so it's a bit easier there on the left, to be honest. Other than that, I don't think there's much else to show you on the inside. Yeah, so obviously it says up there that the next service is due pretty soon, but we've obviously had the service done on it anyway as part of the sale, so you don't need to worry about that one. So yeah, right, I'll go around the back now and jump in the vehicle and show you a few bits and pieces on the inside of it. Just close this up for a minute. So first thing you probably notice when you get in is that you've got this little control panel down here. Really that's where I want to start showing you bits and pieces on the inside. So if I want to turn this off, you basically just press and hold on this left hand button here. So I'm not going to do that at the moment because I've got things working and I want to show you how everything works. So at the moment you can see there it's showing you fresh water at the top, wastewater at the bottom. So you've got about a quarter of a tank of waste and a bit less than that of fresh water. So that's because I clicked on this little button down here. So the water level button. Water pump is the next one here, and that's on at the moment. I'll turn that off now so there's no power going to the pump. If I turn that back on again, I can then get water coming out through the taps. So cold to the right, hot to the left. If you turn that off, the pump should then turn itself off when it gets to pressure, which it has done. Next one, amps. So there is actually a solar panel fitted, but it's obviously not been wired up to the actual control panel there. It's just showing you how many amps are being drawn. The next one there, lights. So that light, the switch there, or the light there next to the lights button is on. And so you can then go through and use all your light switches and things like that, and all your lights should work. They've all got their own individual switches on them. So that's that one there for the extractor, and then you've got that one there. There's a button just here which does the light above those cupboards. You've got a pull cord for the lights in the bathroom. I will come back to the bathroom in a little bit to show you bits in there, but yeah, basically once you've got that light switch on the control panel, you can then go around and just turn all the lights on that you want on, the ones off that you don't want on, obviously. But that's totally up to you to work out. The majority of the light switches are all here, so if I turned all of these ones off, these over here are off, including this one as well, but you can turn them all back on, so like that. This one here, just so you know, has got its own switch on it as well, but it's just as easy just to use it from this switch just here. So that is totally up to you. Overhead lockers obviously, you know, self-explanatory. You know, open up and then they hold themselves up. There's no sort of gas struts or anything to do that with these. It's just this specific type of locker. They're all the same, really. So I'll close those down. They're all the same all the way around the vehicle. All the little sort of buttons and hinges are all very, very similar. So that's that. We'll have a look under here. There we go, thought so. So your gas isolator taps are those ones just there. So they've all got a little diagram on them. I can see the top one there is for your cooker, middle one is for your fridge, and the bottom one's for the boiler. So if you turned any of those 90 degrees, it would isolate the gas from whichever one you want to isolate. Basically, if the red part is in line with the pipe, then it means it's on. If you turn it so that it's off, you know, off center for the pipe, then it's off. There's a little diagram there showing you that. But that's where your gas isolators are. So if you had, you know, if you thought there was a gas leak from any individual appliance, you can isolate it from there if you need to. Obviously you've got your external gas point, which is that little gas fitting just there, and the plug for your sink, all that sort of stuff. It's all in there. So yeah, back to this again. So you've got the light switch on. You can leave that one on if you want to keep your lights on. You can see your battery voltages. So you've got engine at 12.7, leisure at 12.6. The Bentley Motorhomes symbol there basically just goes through settings with you. So the main ones really, power on until the screen comes on, lights on, pump on, and then once you've done those two buttons there, obviously your lights will work and your pump will work. The next most important thing to do from there, once you've got your pump on, if you want to heat the water up and get hot water and things like that going, which is all over here, I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, but if you want to do that, you absolutely need to come to the sink here and just basically pour the water through. The pump will kick in straight away. Turn it over to the left or actually over to the right, I suppose, for the hot water. And then if the water comes through like this, nice and easy, you can turn that off, pump will turn itself off, and then that proves to you that your boiler is full of water. If you don't do that, and the boiler is empty, and you've forgotten that you've drained the boiler out at some point and you forgot that, if you then try and light the boiler up and get hot water coming out of it when there's nothing inside of it, it will overheat, and you know, you could get into sort of points where you'd be melting wires and things like that. So really important just to double check that your boiler is definitely full just by doing that. It's nice and easy. Once you've done that though, you can come over here and use your boiler exactly how you want to, which I'll show you how to do now. So I'm going to touch it off for the minute. That little light there is completely normal. That just means that the boiler's carrying on just to cool itself down for a little while. So it's a combi boiler, not in the sense that you would have a combi at home, but the reason it's called a combi is because it works on gas or electric. You can get it to work on gas and electric at the same time, but that's why they call it a combi. So if the electric hookup was plugged into the vehicle, you could go up 1 or up 2, which will basically make the boiler work on electric only. If you only had gas, which I do at the moment, I would leave it just here towards the gas symbol. And if I had gas and electric and I wanted to use both at the same time, I'd either go down 1 or down 2. So the little gas flame symbol here on the top one is gas, and the little squiggly line means electric. So for the most part, you'll probably be leaving it there in the middle, which is gas only. The one below that just says combi is then telling the boiler what you actually want it to do. So if I go up 1, I'll get 40 degrees of hot water. If I go up 2, I'll get 60 degrees of hot water. Back to the middle turns the boiler off. Down 1 is heating only. Down 2 is heating and hot water at 60 degrees. So as long as you've got the little orange symbol on there, that means that the water is being heated up. So I'm going to show you again. I've only got the gas on at the moment, so I'm leaving it here on the gas symbol. And then I only really want the hot water, so I'll go up 1 and then just wait for it to heat up, basically. It can take about half an hour, and and then you have about, I don't know, around sort of 15 litres I think of hot water in the tank. So that's up to you. If, again, so to give you another example, because it can be a bit awkward to get your head around, if I wanted to heat the van up and get hot water, but I only had an electric hookup plugged in, I didn't have any gas, I'd go up 2 and then down 2. So I've got heating and hot water on electric only. Or at the minute, because I've only got the gas, I'd go back to the middle for gas and then all the way back down to the bottom for heating and hot water. All right, so the little amber light will come on in a minute once it's lit up. There you go. And so that means that the water is being heated up. If I went to just heating only on whatever, even if it's just on gas, that little amber light should go off. There you go, because the amber light just means that the water's heating up. If you leave it there, the heating only, you'll just get heating, obviously. Right, so I'll turn that off for now. So I hope that makes sense. They can be a little bit awkward to get your head around, but just remember, the one at the top is telling the boiler what energy to use. Up is electric only, down is electric and gas, leaving it in the middle is gas only. And the bottom one is telling the boiler what to do. Up is hot water only, down is hot water and heating, and down 1 is heating only. All right, so hope that makes sense. Just making sure there's nothing in here, which there's not. Yeah, I've got a couple of speakers back here, so one there and one there. They will be linked up to your stereo system, so if you had anyone sat in the back, then you can play the music through, you know, these speakers back here, basically, which is nice. This cupboard here, you've got the TV that the previous keeper would have been having, or were using, sorry. Bentley Motorhomes, bits and pieces just there. The carpets, we always take the carpets up and roll them up and leave them in the cupboard so that you can put them back down if you want to, but we leave them up just so that you can see that the floor's in good nick, and you know, basically just give it a good scrub. You've got a telecom, I think that is, or teleco booster, and an Oyster satellite dish for the roof. You have also got your solar controller there, because like I said, you do have a solar panel on the roof, and the actual working sort of buttons and mechanism for your big TV aerial satellite on the roof is this one just here. So you press this button on the left hand side and it'll just basically go up and find the correct place. You might also notice that you've got access to this from the other side, which is actually in the bathroom. So you can, if you wanted to, or if you needed to, use this as like a sort of cupboard for inside the bathroom as well. But that's, again, totally up to you. Okay, so next most important thing probably is the fridge. So I have actually got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment. It might not look like it because there's nothing happening on the screen. But the reason for that is, if it was in the middle of the night and it was pitch black and you had a light, you know, lights on this flashing all over the place, it might become quite annoying. So they make sure that they can, it goes completely blank after a little while, even if it is still on. If you want to show yourself what's going on, just press this button here on the right hand side just once, or press and hold it, and that tells you there straight away what's going on. So at the moment it's lit up on gas at full power. All right, that's all that means. So if I want to change it to electric hookup, which is the one at the top, I'll push and hold on the mode button and then just change it through. So that's 12 volt and that's electric hookup at the top. The reason this little light here is flashing is because obviously I don't have an electric hookup plugged in, and I don't have the engine running, which is what the 12 volt symbol there is for. I've only got gas in, so I'll go again all the way down to gas. It will light up and that's it, you just leave it. Okay, so if you had an electric hookup plugged in, you'd really, ideally, you want to be up there at the electric hookup symbol, and then it would just work. If the engine was running and you were driving, you switch over to the 12 volt symbol there. The 12 volt, you need to get the fridge cold first before you do that, either on the gas or the electric, because the 12 volt doesn't really get the fridge cold on its own. It only really holds the temperature, so you need to make sure it's cold already. But yeah, so just use the 12 volt there for when your engine's running, and then gas or electric when it's not. But for the minute, I'm gonna leave it down on gas because that's what I'm on. Inside the actual, I won't put it back in there properly. Inside the actual fridge itself, you've got a little freezer box at the top, and the rest of it's just standard fridge bits. I'll put that back on in a minute after the video. The cooker, it's all quite a, you know, it's really kind of, don't know what to call it, inclusive van, I suppose. You've got pretty much everything that you would normally just have working on gas also works on electric. So you've got a hot ring here which works on electric. The boiler works on electric as well. All of that kind of thing. So I have just noticed that these two are the wrong way around, so I'll just, so we don't get confused. So you've got basically 3 burners at the top, so 3 gas burners, which all light up by looking at which one you want to light. So if I want to light this bottom left one, this is the bottom left little symbol. So all you do, push and hold the ignition button whilst pushing in around to the left on whichever one you want to light up, and then whichever one you're choosing will light. Once it's lit, you've got a thermocouple on each one of these, which is that little prong of metal there. And in fact, every single gas appliance in this entire motorhome has got a thermocouple. What a thermocouple does is it senses burning gas. So if I light this one up here, I'm still holding it down because the thermocouple is just warming up. And when I let go now, it stays on because that little thermocouple inside there now senses that burning gas is there. If I then blew that flame out with my mouth and this was staying on and all the gas was still pumping through, the thermocouple will notice that the flame's gone away, and then it will stop that gas coming out. All right. So for example, like another example, if the wind, it's a big gust of wind and it blew that flame out, the thermocouple will notice that, and after about 10 seconds or so, it will stop the gas coming out. So basically, you can't just fill the van up with unburnt gas. All right. It's okay. I mean, obviously you should have a little bit of, you know, something open at some point where, you know, when you're cooking, but it's not, you know, that's why it's not really that dangerous. When you're actually cooking, it's okay because the gas is burning. But if you just pump gas through, then obviously it's not so good. Another thing I'll say, obviously you've got your, if you had the electric hookup plugged in, you can choose this one here, 1 to 6, and that'll basically just heating up your hot ring at the back there. But the only other thing I'll say is, if you have either 3 of these burners lit up, or the oven or the grill, and then you switch them off, do not put this glass lid straight down. Obviously don't put it down when you're actually lit on something, but also please let it cool right down before you put the lid down. It is only glass. It's supposed to be quite, you know, it is quite tough glass. It's, you know, it's pretty good stuff, but if you put that lid down when it's cold, right above something that's just been really hot, it will just shatter. So definitely please just let it cool down first. I've seen it a few times now. So leave it to cool down before you shut the lid down. The grill, you've got this little bit that comes out here a little bit, so you see that you've got a little bit of a lip like that, so it won't get everything crazy hot. The grill one is this one here, and the oven is this one over here. A bit of storage underneath here, and just a couple of gas pipes and bits at the back. That plug there will be for the hot ring, so if you never ever wanted to use the hob ring, you can just switch that off if you want to. If it makes you feel better, but if you're not going to use it, just leave that one there on the left alone. So close that down now. Obviously that's okay putting it down now because I only had it on for about 5 seconds, or you know, not very long at all. So it's only really, if you have it lit up for like 20 minutes while you're cooking, don't put the lid down straight away, because yeah, it'll be really bad. Bathroom, so I'll just switch the lights on again. Looks to me, I didn't actually do the hab check on this particular one, so I'm just guessing at the moment. You should have Maybe it's inside here, perhaps. So there should be, there you go. Right, so basically what you've got is like a bit here that this whole part here opens up, all right, and pulls open. So when you get in here, you get in there for the shower, stand in there and then push this open. And then this little bit of door here will also meet up. There'll be a little bit of magnet here. So this door will then come over and close up, so you've got a whole shower compartment basically. When you're finished with that, this just pushes back like that. And then you've got your sink here just for normal everyday stuff. Obviously the sink works in exactly the same way as the tap does in the kitchen, and the same here for the shower. As I said already, you can get into the main wardrobe just here if you need to. And the toilet is really nice and simple. Push this button down here to get the flush fluid coming around. And then once you've done that, pull this lever here to drain it into the cassette, and then make sure that you close that back over when you've finished. They both close back like that. The reason it's so important to close that flap back over when you finish with the toilet is that if you don't, one, obviously self-explanatory, you'll get a bad smell coming back into the van. But also, if you don't close that flap back over, it locks the toilet cassette in place, so you can't take it back out from outside. So just make sure that you close that back over whenever you finish with it, and then you'll be good to go. Right, so I need to put this back on at the end of the video, but otherwise I think I've covered pretty much everything. I'll just show you this skylight. So it's really nice and simple, but also nice and strong. If you want to open it up, it's in its locked position at the moment. If you want to open it up, push this button in whilst you pull the handle down, and then if you want to go all the way open, just pull it all the way back until it stops. If you don't want it to be quite as far open, but you still want it open, you can push up into these little grooves here and match it both sides. And then if you want to close it all the way back over, push all the way up like that. And that's it. And you've got blackout blind or fly screen. Same with the windows on the sides. You've got blackout blind from the bottom, fly screen from the top. So yeah, it's all very similar. They're all pretty much the same. So yeah, the only thing I'll say now really is that you've got, I mean, I think Kelly sends out a checklist usually with the vans after they've left the site, but essentially the main things you want to do is make sure that you've changed your fridge over to the 12 volt before you start driving, because otherwise when you get to wherever you're going, everything in the fridge will be warm. Turn your gas off, and any gas appliances, make sure they're all off, including the boiler as well. You absolutely cannot, well, you can, but you definitely shouldn't drive with the gas on in the locker. If you drive with the gas on in the locker, for example, when you had a crash, if any, which there's, you know, probably 50 different gas pipes and little bits and pieces and joints all over the van, if you had a crash and any of those burst or split, you've got 30 millibars of gas, propane gas, pumping out wherever it breaks. And obviously, that's the absolute last thing that you want if you do have a crash. So if you just literally by turning the gas bottle off in the locker before you start driving, stops, even if anything does break, it stops that pressurized gas from pumping through. And so that's really important to do that. And then basically once you've done that, gas off, pump switch off, light switch off. Turn that off. And that's it. Good to go then. Just make sure that all your windows are shut, skylights are down, all of these glass bits are down as well, because they will break as well. As the other thing with these, if you leave them up and drive along and they smash down, that's another thing that will just break them. So really important to shut those down whenever you're finished. Yeah, that's about it really. So I think I've covered everything I can. If there's anything else you think I've missed or anything you want covering again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.